The goal celebration has been a tradition in soccer since its beginning. When Brandi Chastain removed her jersey bearing her sports bra to the public after scoring the winning goal at the 1999 Women's World Cup, a controversy arose. What should have been seen as an act of triumph to all was otherwise seen as socially unacceptable and inappropriate, and this act was displayed on the covers of many popular magazines such as Sports Illustrated and Newsweek. This is a clear example of a double standard that is ever present in our society. What may be acceptable for men in this case is not completely acceptable for women. Taking this into account, I decided to interview some friends to retrieve some insight of my own about double standards.
A double standard is when there's two different expectations for, say, a different type of person, or, say, male and female, or different demographics, when they expect two different things when it shouldn't be.
I think a double standard is when expectations are different for anyone, whether even if it's like not between genders, if it's between like even age groups or things like that, but it's when expectations aren't the same for two groups of people when they should be.
A double standard to me is when for one group of people, whether it's one certain sex, race, religion, so on and so forth, can do something, can get away with something, not necessarily bad, but they do some sort of action, and then versus when another group of a similar type does something and either it's held back or there's controversy or there's commentary on it when it's more or less unnecessary.
I'm a social worker, and in my industry it's populated by many, many women who do what I do. What's interesting though is that as you go to the top, most of the executive directors of the organizations that all these women work for are men. So it's actually pretty rare that a woman kind of gets up to the top. Usually it's men, which is interesting.
Men typically get paid more than women in the workplace, even though sometimes women may do better work or more work or work harder than they do. I mean, that's not to say that men don't work hard and deserve to be paid, but it should be more of an equal playing field.
I'd say right now I'm an education major, so it's all girls basically and a few guys, and I think it's definitely for like parents of like young kids, it's seen they're more comfortable with having like a woman teacher than a male teacher, so you more see them in like secondary ed or like high school where it's more acceptable, I guess.
A lot of the times if you go to a bar or out with friends, they charge covers, a cover charge to get in, and a lot of the times I'll go out with some girlfriends and we'll get to the door and they'll let two or three, all the girls in free, and then they're like, wait, and you gotta pay $5 or $10. And I mean, it's kind of unfair. I mean, if they're gonna do that, it should be the same for everyone, not a double standard. Girls get in free, guys don't.
If a girl is with a lot of men, it's considered like not good for her. But if a guy is with a lot of girls, then he's just like considered cool.
When I was in high school, there was a female who wanted to wrestle, and we only had a male wrestling team, and they were trying to jump through hoops and different things to try to prevent her from doing it. I remember the wrestling coach was giving all kinds of different reasons why it might not be acceptable.
Consequences, I mean, I think a lot of times women can feel like it's, to put it in simple terms, like it's not fair. That, you have to go through so much more effort and work in order to prove, essentially, that you're as good or better than your male counterpart.
Consequences, well, it kind of deters guys from going into bars. I mean, that's just on this specific example. But, I mean, it does encourage the girls to go in because they know, hey, I can get in for no cost, but then it might deter the guys.
I think it deters men from wanting to go into, the teaching profession.
I think the school looked bad. I think that we got bad publicity for it. I think the coach kind of looked like, I don't want to say an idiot, but, he not really having a well-defined answer why she couldn't partake, really didn't help his cause.
Men and women suffer from the consequences of these double standards, whether it be socially or economically, and the reason these have come about has been a product of historical and cultural norms. I believe that confronting these issues is the first step in finding solutions to reversing the double standards in our society. Judging by the responses of my peers, it is clear that these double standards do not go unnoticed, and hopefully this can pave the way for change in the future.